right, it is 6 o'clock. I will call the meeting of the Juneau Utility Commission order. Roll hasn't been taken. Need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Ross, second by Bart to approve the agenda. Any discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Minutes of the previous meetings.
Second.
Motion by Cheryl, second by Dick to approve the motions of the minutes of the previous meetings. Aren't working well today. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Public appearances. Let the records show that he was present. Approve the vouchers and the checks.
Second.
Motion by Cheryl, second by Ross to approve the vouchers and the checks. Any questions? If not, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Prior month income statement. Anybody have anything on that? If not, we will move on. Council acts affecting utility, there are none that I saw. Consumption and loss. I like that
Water
picture.
looks really good.
What happened to Sewage Street?
Rain.
The rain?
Rain on it.
7.5.
Anybody have any questions on it at all, other than the one? All right. Totals of delinquent customers. You can sure tell it's after the 15th of April.
We actually didn't have to disconnect too many.
How many did you have?
We disconnected 9 and 1 remains out. Yeah, 1 remains out. So we had some, they had to go through the balances one last time. There's a little hiccup. Lisa and Kylie were trying to work out some quirks that came through with her doing her first time, so they ended up pushing it back 3 days, forward 3 days for the first disconnect. And originally there was 35 on the Wednesday one, but with those couple extra days, some more phone calls were made, and so they ended up paying, and so yeah, we ended up doing 9 disconnects, and 1 remains out yet, so.
All right. Anybody else have any questions about delinquent customers? If not, we will go to the reports of officials. Lori?
I just have the scholarship stuff that we have to go through, that you all had in your packets, and I wasn't sure about candidate number 2 because they had a parent that worked at Animix, but I didn't read that line above that said they had to somehow live here and whatever, so we basically just have the 2 candidates, then 1 and 3, I believe.
Yep.
I'm glad I wouldn't have read that. I was confused. Well, our town address.
Yeah, and I
Long
just.
lateral.
Yeah, I just thought
Say a
because,
really long
right?
lateral.
I just thought because they had a parent that lived or a parent that worked in Juneau that they might be.
And we hand out 2 scholarships, correct?
Correct. 2 $1,000 scholarships. I get to do that.
I guess that makes it kinda easy.
I
So-
would move to give scholarships to the first and the third candidates as presented.
I'll second
We have a motion and a second. Motion by Cheryl, second by Bart, to approve candidates number 1 and 3 for the 2 scholarships.
Question, why aren't we getting applicants for this? Aren't we not getting the word out, or?
We got the word out on the website, and I emailed, Lynn over at Dodgeland Schools. And as of Thursday or Friday when I talked to you, we only had 1 candidate, and she
Yeah.
sent me 2 more last minute, so,
That's ridiculous.
yeah,
Cost the school in the day, every little bit helps. And
yeah.
Well,
$1,000 is nothing to balk about it.
we don't, we've had candidates from Lakeside too. We don't get them. We've had 1 candidate from Lakeside.
Do we get that word out to them? Probably not, huh?
I don't know anything about that, though.
Yeah, with the school choice thing now too, you might have
Okay.
potential applicants for, you know, going to school outside our community as well and still living in the community.
Okay,
Well, when I make the presentation, I will.
Homeschooling
Could you
too,
send
yeah.
something with a bill? Which is kind of a shame, because I think,
Yeah.
you know, there
Do
is.
we
a
Put
ever-
it on the
potential.
bills.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say, send the thing on the notice on the bill when we do
Okay.
the bill list next year, I would say.
yeah, okay,
Makes sense.
yep, we can do that.
All right. Anything else, Lori?
And, no, I
We
think,
need a vote.
I think we need a vote.
oh, we again need to vote on the.
Oh, excuse me. I apologize. Okay, we have a vote, we have a motion and a second to approve candidates 1 and 3. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. All right, I will move on. You have nothing else?
No, I was just gonna report that Lisa is going to, WPPI for training next week for, more training in North Star. She seems to be doing a little bit better. The billing thing is still kind of showing a little bit, but, I had Kylie check into, WPPI as far as doing our billing, in case we need a backup or whatever. And there's a $200, sign-up fee or whatever, and then it's $220 a month. And so that's our kind of our plan B, backup plan in case she is still struggling with billing after Kylie leaves. But, I talked to Kylie this afternoon, and she said that she's been catching on to pretty much everything else real good, so it's been improving.
Okay. Nick?
So the first thing I got there is bucket truck approval for, you read that right, 2024. With lead times on vehicles, chassis, equipment. Utility sales knew that we were up for a bucket truck in 2024. And they said in order for us to even receive it in 2024, that we need to place it on order, just for it to get here in time. The reason we go with utility sales is so we get a Versalift. Versalift bucket truck is a boom that skirts out, it doesn't fold out, and when you're in cities, you don't want an elbow that folds out really far into the traffic, so that's why we go to utility sales only for bucket truck bids. It's not like with our digger derrick, we went out and searched out for pricing with Terex as well. But with a bucket truck, utility sales, and generally, utility sales has always been the cheapest anyways. So we went and we got some specs, basically specking out the exact same truck. The only addition that we're making is we have a couple side bins that are not really utilized on our trucks. We're making that more really utilize it more for the equipment we have, and we're adding a ladder rack on that truck so it can carry our extended ladder on there as well. The price that they gave me was $257,966, which we have been budgeting for. We actually will be over that, which is good because there is also a underwriting here for surcharges for components because of how our nation is with raw materials and things like that. So there's a possible surcharge of up to 8% on chassis, which would be roughly about $10,000 surcharge if possible. So, like I said, Lori and I, we sat down probably 2 years ago, or whenever, shortly after you started,
Yep.
and went through that equipment replacement budget just to make sure that we are on pace with making sure that those budgets are replenished by the time equipment is due for replacements, and it will be for 2024. Actually, next year, I think if we looked at it this morning, we thought next year already we would have enough for
Yeah.
this price truck. So that's what I got. I'm just looking for a motion.
Just out of curiosity, how often do you replace the bucket truck?
So the bucket truck is on a 20-year. Pickup trucks are on 10 years. And yeah, we got that bucket truck, and that was before my time, 2002, I believe it was, 2001.
It was actually up for this year.
Yeah, it was up for this year, but because we bought the digger derrick used, that's what we ended up flip-flopping those two. That was before you got on the utility commission, but you guys might remember that we flopped the replacement of the digger derrick and the bucket truck just because we were putting money into the digger derrick every year when it got its annual inspection, fixing hoses and things like that. So that's why those two were flopped. It's a big ticket item.
What are they giving you for trade on the old one?
They won't take trade-ins anymore. They don't do trade-ins, so we'll be selling on our own. They are going for a pretty penny, which this truck will get money, unlike that digger derrick that we only got $6,000 for. I'm anticipating the bucket truck we're gonna get probably $60,000 for. So that'll help, but I can't bank on the sell of that without knowing what it's gonna sell for at the time of the auction. And we can always deny the auction like we did with the first sale of the digger derrick. We can say no and put it back on the auction again in hopes that we get a higher price, but then you run the risk of something sitting on there for multiple auctions and people are wondering what the heck's going on. So you gotta kinda play your cards right with that as well. But
All right,
We can get $60,000 for what we got because they're in high demand and.
yeah, because of such a long time to get these bucket trucks, like contractors are looking for used ones on the lots to get them now because contracting crews are growing rapidly because of the amount of work that's getting done with We Energies and Line Energies are getting these tremendous grants that for some reason we are not, don't qualify for some reason for updating infrastructure, and their crews are growing, so they're buying them off lots quicker than, and that's what we were banking on our digger derrick, but apparently that was just a little bit too old to draw the attention of some serious contractors, so.
You gotta put money down when you order it?
No, I asked that this morning. You don't have to pay anything until receivable dates, and receivable date was anticipated for January 31st of 2024.
You pick the chassis, or do they pick the chassis?
We
or-
picked it, we got international, we do international because it's closer in case something does go wrong. Got that place in Appleton there, so.
That's interesting because my grandpa used to sell bucket trucks.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's,
Already 40, 50, 60 years ago.
Long time, yep.
How does this play out in the rotation of vehicles with digger derrick, bucket truck? Cause now we're talking short time frame in between.
So I plan on, probably won't be here by then, but the digger derrick now is gonna get an extended, cause that's something that we don't use every day like the bucket truck we use frequently. That we can lengthen out the time of the digger derrick where it's more spread out, where we can spread that out another 10 years. Make that a 30-year rotation. I don't see that, why that's not possible with that digger derrick. So that was my plan, is to further that replacement for that digger derrick.
Do you have other large items that you're looking for the budget for 23, 24?
I do not, as far as equipment wise and outside of our normal cable replacements, after this road project is done, our conversion, large projects like that, I don't see anything that's gonna take up a large chunk of budget, so no.
I'm concerned obligating for 2 years out.
Yeah.
I understand the chassis side and not being able to get them, but I'm like, oh lordy. I don't even know what the budget will be like or where we'll be sitting
So we do-
financially.
Yeah, but we do have the money set aside in the equipment replacement fund.
So that's a
There's-
separate,
Yeah, there's about $240,000 in there right now, so
that doesn't even go into my normal
that's not even, yeah,
budget planning, that's usually just,
that's all separate.
How does money go into that fund every month?
We make a
monthly,
deposit
yeah,
every month,
monthly deposit.
and it's in a whole separate account.
It's out of your rates, Dick. Comes out of your rates. Yours too.
So what is your pleasure? I know 2 years is a long time to wait, but
Yeah, well, at least they reached out to me now and not, hey, by the way.
so,
Yeah, it's ridiculous. You go on the car lots. It was down in Dallas here a week ago, and my son was looking for a different truck and went in there, and anything over $40,000 has got a $10,000 fair market add-on to the full sticker price. I mean, just nuts. And anything under 40,000 got a $5,000 add-on to the full sticker price. I said to my son, I said, I've never paid full sticker on a vehicle in my life, let alone pay another extra 5 or 10 on top of that besides, you know, that's
Wow.
just nuts.
When the dealerships are reaching out to you to buy your used truck that you bought 2 years ago from them to sell for more than what you bought it for.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
But then you can't go buy a truck for,
Yeah, then when are you gonna replace them?
That goofy little car I have. I mean, you go look at what the price of one of those goes for, it goes for exactly what I paid for it in 2017
Yeah,
with the mileage on it that I have now.
it's nuts.
Is there any possibility that this delivery will come before 2024?
no, I told them even if it does, that we would not be able to put any money in until 2024 because this is a budget item. But the way trucks are coming, they said they're lucky if we're gonna meet that deadline. It's not gonna be prolonged further.
Sad part about it is your truck compared to a Lion truck isn't even broke in yet compared to what they, you know.
Yeah,
No,
you
they-
got any
they
issues
probably-
with your current bucket truck?
We had to do, we replaced, last year we did some air compressors, we did a water pump on it. Some of the joints we replaced a couple years back, but outside of our engine the hoses have been replaced. Nothing crucial, no.
Look at hours you got,
Couldn't even tell you right now.
mileage isn't a narrative or isn't a gauge, it's the
No.
hours you put on it, cause that truck has to run in order for it to go up in the air, so, you know. you can have a truck with 20,000 miles on it, it might be equivalent to 80,000 miles with the hours that they've got on it, so. Just seems like they're working a scare tactic to get you to, sign on the bottom line.
There's people out there that, well, I'm just glad they were able to give me a price and a surcharge percentage, because I talked to, Joe at Conwalk, and who else did I speak to? Someone at that meeting we were at. But anyways, they didn't have any, they couldn't give them a price, they couldn't give them a surcharge, they have no idea what the price is gonna be once they get this truck. I'm like, how the heck can you?
Why would you agree to such,
Well,
that's
these guys
fiscally
need,
irresponsible.
they need the equipment,
That's what it came down to, they needed it.
and you just buy it. You look at contractors, they're going up and buying them now. Think about Michael's going out and they buy 30 of them at a time.
I mean, when my grandpa sold them, he had the only customer, he would never sell to Juneau Utility. He didn't buy enough. I mean, he would sell them 50 or 100 at a time. That's the customers that he had.
Yeah. So, I will make a motion that we go on record to purchase a bucket truck in 2024.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
What would happen if we waited until budget time, even if it got extended until 2025 to get it? That way it would be budgeted. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
I guess I look at it as it ain't gonna get any cheaper.
Yeah.
I mean, they keep saying stuff's gonna go down, it's not going down.
No, I agree with that.
It's not gonna get any cheaper.
I guess
If we wait, it's gonna be more than,
I guess the thing I would say with a peace of mind is, this is,
is that
it's
kind,
budgeted,
other
it's
than-
fully budgeted. I mean, there's nothing outside of my normal operations that this would affect whatsoever. This is the
Should
vehicle
we be
replacement.
concerned that we're basically dedicating our whole equipment replacement fund to this?
It's not, it's not. So that vehicle replacement fund is for the bucket truck. We have
Just for
separate-
that?
We have separate equipment budgets for every piece of equipment.
Okay. I didn't understand that.
So even though we have by next year, we'll have the 265,000, whatever that is designated for the bucket truck. We also then have breakdowns for our skid loader replacement, our pickup trucks, our back trailers, so that doesn't affect,
Each piece of equipment we have on a schedule, and it puts in so much for each piece of equipment for every year, and
if you
goes
look
for
at the
10 years,
total,
20 years or whatever.
it does affect the total overall, because that piece of equipment is full value replacement at 2024. So the total of our vehicle replacement fund goes down because certain equipment items are to be fully replaceable, funded by the year of 2028, 2029, 32, so on and so forth. But that doesn't drain our vehicle replacement. All the other equipment items would still have their budgeted money set aside for the replacement time and their year.
Okay.
That equipment replacement fund was set up long ago when we weren't even with WPPI. We were underneath an evergreen contract with Alliant. And at that time, they gave you a 2% payment discount if you paid by the 10th of the month for your power purchases. And that 2% went into that. That's how that fund got started. So there was a 2% off of purchased power sales that kept that fund liquid. Whatever, so.
Okay.
That's where it came from. Now, like I said, it's just taken out of the operating dollars of the utility. We don't have that with WPPI. So.
Then every so many years, we sit down and reevaluate, is this something that we really need to replace, utilize, and then that money gets shifted to certain budget items and.
Okay, but the point is that it's designated for the bucket.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? If not, I will call the question. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Projects update.
So Mac and I attended a joint action leadership program at WPPI. We talked about several different points, our support services, like the shared meter technician service. A couple things that struck my attention in that was the transformer loading tool. They have a program that we can get that's covered under our shared meter service already, that we can put all of our transformer information and how many residential homes or what residential homes are on those meters, and they can do a loading survey on those transformers to see what transformers are underloaded, overloaded, etc. And reason we were discussing this all in the end was because of the growing of the EV vehicles, and when is it time to replace a transformer without wasting money, upsized transformers, and you just got a coil there that's storing energy that's not being utilized, it's coil loss. So when we do our inspections, we do inspections third of the town every year. We did the full system last year, which I wish we knew we had this, because I would have did it last year. But now when we do our inspections, I'll be putting all that information into that program, so by the time in 3 years we have all of our transformers into that system, and they can do a loading survey on our transformers to see how we are sitting as far as loading those particular ones. And it just gives me a better idea as if we got a 25 out there that needs to be upgraded to a 50 before it gets overloaded and shorts out on a customer. It's got useful tools as far as that. So we discussed kind of where that shared meter program is going, those programs, customer outreaching, joint energy service support, basically just an overview of what WPPI has to offer and how they can help us out. I thought it was a good little training seminar that we went to, and got a couple other key points that I took away and are gonna look into as well. Cybersecurity, it sounds like with Javis right now, we are up to date with our cybersecurity as far as using our third-party verification systems with getting into our emails. That seems to be the biggest thing that they're hacking into right now. So really nothing to change as far as that. We're doing landscaping in town right now with all of our outages that we had in the winter. We're finished landscaping that. We're also finished landscaping up on Highland Street. Wagner Electrics was in. They got all the meter sockets replaced. They got one more to go. Anticipation maybe tail end of this week, early next week for that one. We got the south side, or south block, completely shut off now, or the transformers at least. Charter's amplifier was energized this morning, so we were able to kill that section of the block. And then we're just waiting on that one customer on the north side of the block, and we'll be wrapping up with that. Still working on scheduling with Cooks, Charter, AT&T. Sounds like we're in the final stages of Charter getting approval as far as Cooks' price that they gave them. Still waiting on my pipe. Should be here next week. So we're anticipating June to start that project of East Oak to the dead end. I do have some questions and concerns with the city as far as when that project is going to take place, because we did not anticipate doing any landscaping with that project in the boulevard. And if it's not going to get done this year, this summer, what does the utility want us to do as far as the boulevard landscaping. We're gonna have sidewalks, sections of sidewalks ripped out.
With my discussion with Jason Lau, he finally got the income survey, proper income survey, or the current income survey forms for the route from Depot up to Fair Street, but that doesn't concern you, but I guess your concerns, if it doesn't get done this year, it'll certainly get done the following year. So I guess just a rough backfill and what have you, and you don't have to be seeding anything, or, you know. Are you talking about direction for Cook, or what?
Correct, well, that and ourselves, cause the way they did it up there, again, that was towards the end of fall, beginning of winter, so backfilling, obviously, a lot of stuff settles, and you can see out there, if you guys drive down Highland Street, I would be kinda upset as a customer if that would stay for a full later half of the summer, in the fall, into the winter, and then back into spring, if Boulevard was like that.
Yeah.
So, I was just, Cook's, I talked to Mike this morning as far as update when we're thinking to get started, and I brought up the question of, or he brought up the question of landscaping, because the last time we spoke, I was hesitant as far as if this project, as far as the city would go through for the end, or by the end of the summer. And then he brought up landscape, and I said, well, I'd like not to, because this wasn't something I had planned for as far as landscaping, because we were trying to be right in front of the city so that we weren't gonna get landscaping something that was just gonna get tore out anyways the following summer. So it was just kind of a concern of mine as far as we plan on, if we gotta take out a section of sidewalk or driveway, we got those millings that Scott got from grindings last year, and that seems to work well for sidewalks in the meantime, because it compacts down really hard, and it's basically blacktop by the time you compact it. So that
I'll
was,
cross my fingers that we get something bid out that the existing contractor will be interested in continuing that project through the fall and what have you. But like I said, if it doesn't, it'll be the following spring. I mean, we're kind of committed to it. We can't do half a project, you know. Highland is the prep for Oak. So once we're good to go there, we got monies in place for that to continue. The only big question mark is the going from Depot up to Fair Street. But I can give you an absolute time frame. You know, if they come back with a price that knocks your socks off again, we'll be looking to bid it out come winter again, so, you know. But these people just have to put up with a messy boulevard. I'm sure there's gonna be some water digs along the route for the lateral replacement as well, so, you know.
there are.
Yeah, if they gotta wait winter, or from fall through winter into spring, so be it.
Yeah.
We're just gonna have to be, all the people that are along that route that have talked to me are anxiously awaiting that project. I don't think they're gonna throw any wrenches in the works to slow it down or anything like that, or put added burden on the city for costs.
Okay, so we'll just plan on backfilling and not seeding final landscaping. Okay, that's all I was hoping and planning for that, just because that was something we weren't anticipating as far as budget cost. But myself and Shane already finished landscaping stuff behind the sidewalk. I mean, you saw us
Yeah.
doing on Highland Street already. We'll be finishing that up, hopefully by the tail end of this week.
I mean,
Depending.
if you get a complaint from a customer, I hope you do your best to appease them
Yeah.
and what have you, but, I don't anticipate one thing about it, they are pretty wide boulevards there and whatever, and, you know.
And like I said, we're starting earlier this summer on this project, so they will be able to get that backfilled nicer, where you don't have stuff that's getting settled out for, over winter, and finally it settles out 2 feet below.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll be working with drier ground, there's no two ways about that,
So,
so.
all right, we'll plan on that. But yeah, that's where we are at with projects right now. Basically just getting everything ready and organized for that, and landscaping up on Highland Street and outside of the normal street light replacements and locates. And we're also working on the street light breakers to be on a one contactor for the Christmas lights. We actually were started on Village Garden today, and the 60 amp meter socket broke on us, go figure. So if you guys go home tonight and notice that West Oak Road doesn't have streetlights, that's why it's gonna get done tomorrow, because we had a hurry order on a couple meter sockets. We had one back here, but it was missing a few of the lugs on it, so that's where we're at with that.
Should have asked.
Yeah, I don't, we were panicking and we were like, oh, whatever, we're just gonna tape this up and people can go at night with the lights. I think everybody will survive. It'll save the city money.
Thousands and
Yeah.
hundreds of
You
thousands.
guys will be able to.
Pay for your bucket truck.
Yeah, pay for my bucket truck, there you go. No, that's taken away from the bucket truck.
All right.
So,
Anybody else have any questions for Nick? If not, Peter.
All right, I just got a few things. Today, Brock Stange, he's a student in Marine Park in the water and wastewater programs. He started today as our summer help. Last month, we had the DNR, Sophia Stevens, come and do the 3-year water system inspection. Everything went well. There were a few things that we need to take care of, but overall, everything we had initially kind of sat down with the paperwork and everything. She wanted up-to-date distribution maps, which we had. She wanted to see the inspection of the water tower, which was just done a couple of years ago. Our records for cross-connection inspections, hydrant and valve exercising records, which were good. She wanted to see the most recent fire flow study, and all we had was the stuff that was done down on Western for the auto pet place. So she said that we should get with somebody to schedule doing those. She wanted to have 25% of the city done every year. So I contacted Wisconsin Rural Water Association, and they're gonna come down and help us with that, the procedures on how to do that. Emergency operation plan, the one that we have, is not really adequate, so I went to Wisconsin Rural Waters Association's website, and they've got templates for that, so I've been working on that. The customer complaint log was good. Then we had the lead and copper materials inventory of the system. She was impressed with what we had and what we were doing, and I had to tell her about that we weren't going to be able to get the rest of East Oak Street because of the project was on hold until next year, and so she would give recommendations in a report about what we should do, because we're required to replace all the private lead services this year by the end of the year, and actually within 45 days we're actually supposed to replace all the public side, but we're not going to be able to. So she's going to get back with me on that. And then we went on a field, we went around to the different wells and the water tower, and she said that well 2, the genset needs to have a logbook with run times and maintenance, etc., things like that. So I talked to Nick today about that, and we're gonna get that together. She wanted to see an increase in our chlorine residual throughout the whole system, so we're working on bumping that up gradually. She said we need to have 5 more back-tea sites for taking back-teas, so we're working on that. And she said that we should consider getting the iron filters inspected, because I don't know the last time that was done. And then last week we had Northern Pipe here to clean and televise approximately 15,500 linear feet of the system on the northwest side. And then they cleaned the lift stations 1 and 4. So that's all I have.
How many test sites you have now?
We've got 5.
They want you to double it.
Yes.
System hasn't grown at all.
That's what they want. It's almost, you do what they want.
It's almost impossible to get sites to.
Yeah, it's
Without
tough.
being creative.
What do they want the chlorine set at?
They want it set at 0.5.
What do you know?
It's at like between 0.3 and 0.7. 0.03 and 0.07.
That's pretty tricky when you start getting up there, you know, if you go
Yeah.
too far. We had that happen one time.
Yeah.
We had some awful terrible water.
I know, but she said you're kind of, you know,
Complaints.
you're getting kind of risky there and having it so low.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
if something
could
were
be.
to happen, they want it
Yeah.
within 4 hours at 0.5 throughout the whole system. So,
But you get up above that, or you gotta be pretty careful.
yeah.
Okay, does anybody else have any questions for Peter? If not, thank you. Lori and I met with, well, Peter and Megan Buckler, we met with MSA and Baird on a Friday. And if the phone system wouldn't have gone out on us, we'd have probably got a little more information, but that phone system failed again. On the total cost of the project, they got it down to the point where it was about $6 million that we will have to pay for the sewer plant. That is now, but there's some things that may change between now and then. There might be a little more this, and for a while they were talking numbers and they were going way past numbers that I like. But they're looking at approximately $25 a customer increase, which is a lot. $25 a month. That's
And you're talking immediately before we can get funding.
I don't think so.
no, we wouldn't have to do that until the plant was actually built. And because then the loans would come in, the loan comes in and the grants come in.
Yeah, but how do we establish this eligibility at this time? Where, as you know, when we met with them the last time, we have to show that our rates will support the cost
Yeah.
of this project.
So we have to come up with something. I looked at my bill in order to get it, and I was really quite amazed at how much more it would have to be.
$25.
Yeah, $25, but if you put it on, instead of putting it on the flat fee, put it on the usage, which would
And
make,
the people who use the most pay the most.
yeah.
Right.
Which is what I think. Personally, that's where I'm at. But the other thing that does is it encourages conservation.
Yeah, but.
But that
But-
doesn't help us
That-
I'm just saying,
Hey, that's
I'm just
always-
saying, I mean, yeah,
that's
the rate
always
is still
been
gonna
my
go
point
up,
of view.
I mean, but the thing of it is, it does encourage, I mean, and which is what we mean, honestly, that's.
You
what-
wind up conserving and you wind up,
Then you have to raise it more,
We
yeah.
gotta raise
I mean,
it up again.
We Energies, I mean, other power companies been doing that, I don't know about us, but when I was on We Energies, I mean, that's
Uh-huh.
the same thing. You'd use less and then they'd come along and raise the rate because
That's
you
what
were
they
using
did with
us, so they
natural
needed to
gas.
charge you to cover whatever their costs were.
so.
Is this based on 30 years still, or 20 years? What
They're-
MSA is coming on?
I think it was
Well,
30 years.
30 years.
Yeah, I can't imagine us backing it back to 20 years.
I can't either, but I wondered what the
Yeah.
conversation was.
Because that would really warp those figures.
Yeah,
And
I
we
mean,
can also just do a percentage, rather than a flat rate of $25 per customer, we can do a percentage, and that way the industrial, commercial people would pay more than the residential. So, you know, if you do a 3% increase, it's not that much to the residents, but it's,
Right.
you know, it's the companies that can afford a little bit more bump that would cover it.
Well, they got a way of passing that cost on to their customers, you know, so
Right,
at least,
right.
you know,
yeah,
it's not just
So-
John.
so. you-
And so we buy it with Wherever we go.
So you go to the store and pay a little more.
Yeah. There you got a choice though too.
That's true.
So I have the information here if anybody wants to look at it.
Where was Justin from Baird on this?
We're gonna be doing, apparently we did the last Clean Water Fund loan was based on all three utilities, but the wastewater, water, and electric. So we have to base it on that again. So I don't believe there's any issue with getting the funding because of that. But they do wanna see that we can support it, most of it is sewer. So that's why the sewer increased for the rates. But they really didn't seem to me anyway, I know you guys can follow up on that, but, it didn't seem like they were concerned about us getting any loans.
No, they were.
That we have the ratios and percentages and whatever they're looking at.
They were almost, Matt was pretty positive we would be no problem in getting any of this.
And we were like number
Number 6
9 or number 6 on,
in the state.
on our ranking for who's the priority of getting money. And yeah, we were number 6 and there's like, I don't know, 50 people on that list, so.
So
It's
by
just-
you rolling all three utilities into this, then essentially the sewer utility could wind up owing electric utility money again.
Well, that's the way the first loan was set up.
Well, yeah, and then,
Well, we got it.
it kinda didn't get paid, back and.
To
you
get
know,
paid fast enough, and then Baker
Right.
Tilly said, I think that's how it went, Baker Tilly said that money
Yeah.
had to get,
Had to shore up the loan there.
Did they cut anything out of this, or this is still
This is still
with everything in
With
it, all the
everything.
bells and whistles?
the,
And the 6 million would be what they're saying we would end up.
yeah. And Peter and I talked to Peter a little bit about it. The only thing that really sticks out like a bell and whistle is the storage shed, or whatever you wanna call that. A maintenance garage. I don't think it has to be that expensive. I don't think we need to worry about whether the materials are the same as the building that's out there. If you can make it so that it's pour the walls up a ways and then put steel on top of it to make it decent. It doesn't have to be
That could be a standalone project, not even part of this.
yeah. But that's
You might find a more competitive bid.
that's $750,000, that shed. But $750,000 off of 6 million is,
Yeah, but it's not really off of 6 million because
It's off of 11
Project
million.
is
Yeah,
11.
it's
off
off
of
of
11.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
do they cut the rest of it off? Out of do they
Well, it
hit some of the
allocates
other parts?
differently
Yeah,
than if you take it off the total and then, so we still may end up paying 6 million.
So, I mean, it's there. I mean, if anybody,
prices are going up on everything.
Yeah.
Interest rates are going up.
It's not a good time to do anything right now.
Matt is working on Jim Vermillion from Sensient to get that contract done. So,
Yeah,
we're still playing that silly game,
They
and
still
that's,
aren't signed on. huh?
We were
No.
supposed to have an answer by last week with their questions of looking over, they said by the end of the month, which was last Friday, but I.
What is our legal standing
didn't
for
see
this?
anything.
Because this is, this is just going
That's the
on
problem, there
and
is none.
on and on.
Yeah,
I would,
But you know what's funny, is that they have inquired about some percentage of green energy that they need to purchase from the electric. And they've been emailing us every other day
Yeah.
about getting this information.
Tell 'em when they sign that piece of
That's what
paper.
we should do.
When they sign that
I
piece
didn't
of
think
paper.
about that, but now
I
I'm
love that
sitting in
when
this
they
meeting.
sign that piece of paper, go
I-
think about getting them that information.
I always thought rather than 34%, let's go 35% or 36%.
Yeah, but see, they want
Every
that.
month you put it
See,
off, it's raising our costs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
They
see,
must
they,
get
see,
some
they
kind
want, they want
There's
that information.
gotta be
I
something
would
to
tell
push
them,
'em.
when we get that piece of paper signed, then we'll think about getting you that thing about the green energy.
I don't know if they got some funding that they have to be a certain percentage of their power costs or.
Well, see, they probably advertise that they use a certain amount of green energy in their thing, and if they
The
don't.
state might be requiring them to.
That's probably
Well, I
something
know
that's-
Trek, part of Trek's advertisement is that they use renewable energy, a certain amount of renewable energy. And I know, like last year, my boss had to scramble because there was somebody that was doing it, and that person quit. And nobody
You knew anything about it.
knew it, well, I think my boss knew about it, but nobody was really assigned what that man did. And so my boss had to scramble to figure out a way to buy credits or whatever he did, the company to buy credits or whatever to have the amount of renewable energy that we were supposed to be saying we were doing in our advertising, because if somebody found out that it wasn't, it would really look bad.
If the calculations all come out to $25 per user, were they proposing a step increase, like $8 at a time or something
they
like
said that
that?
it would be better if we did that and just did a little bit at a time and,
Yeah.
do 2 or 3 increases.
Yeah, you slap a $25 extra on that utility bill, that phone would be ringing off the hook down here.
Can we just do that? We did that 5 years ago or something like that, didn't we?
Well, we did a 2-part increase. We did, they were looking for double-digit increase for the sewer rates, and they were proposing 11% increase, and we did a 5.5.
Yeah, we did too, it was.
Well, we did 2 5s.
Whatever, 2.5,
Yeah,
2.5,
2.5, yeah.
one of the two.
But-
11 was what the ultimate goal was, and I said anytime you get in a double-digit increases, you're,
Do we have a breakdown of what our costs are compared to neighboring utilities?
we did it at that time. We're right in the middle, or to the high end of the middle.
Yeah.
There's naturally lower ones than us, and there's higher ones than us. But our biggest problem is, and I think Beaver Dam's finally playing catch-up, that used to be what they paid a quarter is what we charged a month, the average user, and whatever. So, they were getting 3 months water and sewer for what they were paying over here for 1 month, and that was kind of a hard pill to promote your utility, your community.
So,
I know it'd be nice to get a new state-of-the-art everything, but I wonder if we shouldn't consider, seriously looking at paring down the project a little bit.
We met with Barrett, that's the only thing I could come up with.
That was a scary meeting with Bear.
Yeah.
anybody that wasn't scared at that meeting.
Well, and that's just it. I mean, if Sensient doesn't sign the piece of paper,
Then we don't need a very big plan.
no, exactly.
Then we're fine.
Then,
We
yeah,
actually would be fine. We'd be able to shut one of the plants down
then
and
it's,
only run it on the one plant.
then we need to tell Sensient, and we're, I don't know,
I
can
think
we
it's time to tell
can
them.
we tell
to-
Sensient that if we wanna
I
move
think
forward
We
with,
need to give them an ultimatum.
we wanna move forward with this, and if you don't wanna move forward with this,
You can
then,
get your own
then
permit.
you can, in 90 days, you can figure out what you're gonna do with your water, cause we're shutting you off. I mean, can we do that with the PSC?
Probably not.
No.
That's probably a year to 2 years in the making before you can pull that plug.
No, I'm just saying, but it is, I mean, it's
But it
1 to
is
2 years,
ridiculous.
I mean, still, it is it is a possibility, it's just not 90 days.
They wanna break their operation up as being a good neighbor to the city and what have you, and it's just a farce. I mean, here we are, into the 5th month of another year.
No, I
They're
think
tying our hands right now. a little bit.
I think we start with, if they want that green energy thing, you tell them you want that piece of paper, and then.
I will give
Sign.
Matt a call tomorrow and see what he's been doing on it. I mean, if he's just working on the design of the plant, then we gotta get
we were assured last August that this was supposed to be signed and sealed and moving forward.
Yeah.
Here we
Have,
are.
have we, not Matt, not MSA, have we called them and said, look,
No,
we need a signature. We need this done.
Well, I think, Peter, have you kind of mentioned that along the way
Yeah.
when you talked to him about it?
Mhm.
But I'm saying from our president, our mayor, to say, hey,
No, it's just
Not an
what's up.
option anymore.
It's just basically what's up with the contract, or what's the status of it. It was supposed to be signed back
Yeah.
February 2nd. That was a hard day, and
Yeah, it was supposed
it's
to be
come and
done by the
gone,
end of-
so.
There ought to be back charges all the way to the date that this was supposed to be done.
Well,
They always
we
come
do
up
have
with
something they
excuses.
want.
I don't know if it's that valuable, but we'll see.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna carry a whole lot of clout.
back charges?
No.
if they're touching you every day, though, somebody's wanting
If
something.
they are touching you every
Yeah.
day, then I would say,
Oh, yeah.
I would put that right back on them and say, we need this first. And we needed this a year ago, and we're still waiting on it. When we get this, then you get a hold of whoever's holding this up, and then we'll talk about getting you your piece of paper.
In other words, what you'd like is me to send them a letter.
I want someone to make a phone call and
Phone
send a
call.
letter and say,
Daily.
make that
Daily.
personal touch. I mean, I do collections, and you tell me you're gonna pay me, and it's not there, I'm calling you, and I'm calling you every day, and when I don't hear from you, your supervisor's getting a call. It's just how collections works on my side. And you don't have to be rude about it, but it's effective.
Gotta be persistent.
Yes.
Okay.
Consistent,
I
persistent.
will be more than happy. Give them a call. And,
I would suggest that we all look at the project too, and with a sharp pencil.
I think so.
I don't know, Peter is,
I understand.
we've talked about it.
Yeah.
He doesn't necessarily want all the bells and whistles either, but why do something halfway when you should really go out and do it the right way?
You gotta do what you can afford.
Yeah. I realize that in the world, that's the way it is, but
Do right with what you can afford.
government normally doesn't do that way. If you,
Let's be
if
different
you know
here.
that.
Let's be different here.
So, all right, I will get a hold of them. Mr. Mayor, you have any comments?
Other than on that line, I have had conversations with John Long, their plant manager there, and he always blames it on corporate, of course, and what have you. And I asked him if he would come to one of our utility meetings. Yeah, we'll have to schedule time, we'll have to schedule a time. I guess maybe what you wanna do, Lori, is send them a formal letter that we expect somebody from Sensient to explain their position at our next utility meeting, and we're meeting on such and such a date, and we better not be canceling out the day of,
Yeah.
like they have with every other
They-
meeting that
yeah,
they've
they
scheduled.
have,
because
yeah.
I think I got a point across with him about tearing down houses on the other side of Highland Street now. Let's just hope that continues on, but, yeah. You gotta get mean with those boys in order for them to actually stand up and take notice.
They can work quickly. We saw that when that sewer line broke for them.
Yep.
On a sewer line that broke not too long ago, and they were out there right away. Every white coat, big headshot guy was down there.
Okay. Moving on. Any old business? Any new business? If not, oh. I don't know if I even have anything.
It was in our last month's,
Minutes.
it's June 8th.
June 8th, is it, it's normally about a week before that. So by the 1st of June, if you're willing to, if you want to go to the power meeting at the,
What night is that?
Friday night.
no,
No.
June 8th?
June 8th is
Wednesday?
Yeah, Tuesday,
Oh, yeah.
Friday night.
That's the
Yeah,
other meeting.
yeah.
Never mind.
You mark me down, Matt. I'll certainly go.
so.
Cheryl drives.
Cheryl drove last time.
No, 2 years ago. I
2 years ago?
Yeah.
Last
We
year
didn't
I
go,
didn't
we
go.
didn't go. It's every 2 years those meetings are.
COVID kind of throws.
But it's an interesting evening, filled with good food. And drinks aren't bad either, so. If anybody wants to look at this thing that we discussed with Ms. Vine,
This is your copy?
yeah.
Okay.
If anybody needs one, Lori can make more copies, right?
Oh, what was that?
The meeting we had with
Oh,
MSA
yeah.
and Bear.
I think everybody.
I already have
I
it.
think I,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah,
You
I
sent
have
it.
this.
I think that was
You
the
got it?
email
Send
that I
it,
sent
yeah.
out.
I got it.
Okay.
Like, I've seen this before.
Yep.
I
Okay.
did my homework.
All right,
I can always
if
call
not,
you.
I will make a motion to go into closed session.
Second.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Can you sign
Oh,
this while
excuse
you're
me,
here?
I gotta do a roll call. Okay. Caniff,
Aye.
Evans,
Aye.
Coons,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Hoffeld, aye. We are now enclosed.